this is Rogue Show, him from South Carolina, and says, is it necessary for atheists to study philosophy? All right, so we're going to bring in, hey, Rogue Show. All right. You're asking, tell us about this. Is it necessary for atheists to study philosophy?
Yeah, but there's one thing that's kind of nagging. It's for those who want to know, postmodernism is actually a perspective that takes a lot of perspective. It's pretty much we have to consider a lot of perspectives here. We can't just operate on one, and it focuses on science, and a lot of it focuses on science and critical thinking, which theists don't like. But my question, my question is, like, is it necessary? Is it necessary to study philosophy as an atheist, or is it like just a side gig you can?
Oh, why is it necessary? Live your best life. Who cares? Do what you want. I don't think being an atheist. Oh wait, you have to get your credits in. Sorry, you can't have your bachelor's in atheism without getting your philosophy credit. Rogue Show, actually. So we gotta revoke your atheist degree, right? I don't think it's like that. I think it's more just like, yeah, you can look at it if you want to. Now, granted, there is a benefit to studying philosophy in a formal context versus watching a 15-minute YouTube video that summarizes some guy's books, right? So you're going to get a deeper understanding if you read the works. Obviously, I can't speak any of the original language that folks like Nietzsche, right, writing in German, and then most postmodern philosophers are French, so a lot of them are going to be writing in French, right? So like I don't have that benefit, and I've heard that that's like the best way to read a lot of works, but I think it's great if you want to speak confidently about a particular subject, sure. But the thing is, philosophy kind of by design is always going to be endless. I mean, I guess that's true with any kind of science, but like if you're going to speak on any sort of like real knowledge or authority, it helps to actually look at the original source material, especially if you're going to be engaging with folks online, which is like what a lot of us tend to do, right? Like you're going to be on the back foot if people are going to be talking about religious phenomenology and you're not familiar with some of the basic like texts that like go into that, right? Because philosophy, unlike a lot of other fields of study, are really context dependent on the sources that come before it. You have to really know philosophy in the order in which things were kind of written in order for things to make sense. Like if you just start with postmodernism, you're going to be really confused if you haven't read modernist texts, and then you're going to be really confused if you haven't read the Greeks, right? And then there's like a lot of stuff that gets referenced each time. So in short, yeah, if you want to, go for it, but like I'm not going to be the atheist police and say, you haven't read your philosophy. No, that's bad news. Yeah, just do what you want. I don't care. Live your best life, Rogue Show.
Yeah, I think that my take is that no matter what it is you're looking at, there's always going to be somebody who disagrees with you and knows more about it than you do. So there's never going to be like this perfect amount you can know about any subject that will mean that you're the most like bulletproof or certified atheist or whatever it would be. Clearly, I am less well-versed in philosophy than Dan is. Like that's just evidently true. And that's fine. I think that there can also be a lot of space in a discussion to ask what someone means by what they're saying. If they're using a term I don't know, then I'm happy to say like, hey, I'm not familiar with that term, because then I get to know how they're understanding it and what standpoint they're actually arguing from, and I can maybe have that conversation a little bit more successfully. So I feel like there's value in focusing on critical reasoning, like regardless of what topic you're looking at. And for me, philosophy it's cool to get into different philosophers, and critical reasoning is a fundamental part of it. But being able to be critical on the fly and just to think through like, what are the questions I have about this? Like, what can we explore further? I've found a lot of help with a lot of help from that, I guess. I found that extremely useful, I guess. I'm not always the best with words, but I feel like being curious and asking questions as you're having conversations is totally okay. I do think that there will be experiences you have with atheists and theists where they're going to have read a philosopher and they're going to do a lot of dick swinging with it. Like, sorry, that's rather a crass term. And people without dicks also do this.
It's an appropriate term.
Yeah.
It's
and like,
an appropriate term.
There isn't quite another term that I'm really sure gives this ideal, but I think there are folks who will feel like they're smarter than you because of that, and who will walk away and feel like, well, they didn't even know blank, but okay, yeah. I'm not really trying to impress those folks anyway, you know?
Yeah, it's also appropriate, actually, Sophia, just to add on to that, because philosophy folks tend to be chauvinistic. There is a tendency towards this idea of this sort of rational objectivity that some people speak to. Look at any philosopher ever, and you'll see that they're some of the most problematic people that have ever lived. Like Heidegger is like kind of a Nazi. Like that's like kind of been spoken about. Like there's all kinds of people who have absolutely written amazing stuff that have contributed to the literature, and they themselves are not the most rational people when it comes to other issues. So the point is, if you're doing it to better yourself, that's great. Will it make you think more critically? Sometimes, sure. It's not the be all end all. Please do not treat one specific discipline as, oh, this is going to solve everything for me and make me super smart and be able to debate people and take them down and be the winner. Because that's what a lot of people take when it comes to philosophy. That's kind of the approach. And it's pretty bad.
I think that can happen too I feel like that's happened with psychology. Let's think about Jordan Peterson. Like that definitely comes up. I think that can happen with economics. Like I've seen a lot of folks who are even hobbyist economics act like this is the field that really explains humans. This is really what gets us, all of the answers, and anything that you come to me with, if you don't understand my jargon, is wrong. So people can be kind of crappy regardless. Yeah, I would also just throw out that there are different ways to engage with philosophy in the sense of like how people actually live and how we apply ideas to how we live. I'm a big advocate for reading fiction, particularly from different time periods and different cultures. I think that being able to see beliefs applied in fiction is incredibly valuable. I think that that's a great way to understand other people, even if it doesn't necessarily help you like win a debate. It helps you understand how other people live and why they live that way. So I would throw out there that like literature, fiction also has a place in just human understanding, even though it does not aim toward being objective. Does all that make sense? We just threw a ton of words at you. We both had some feelings on that one.
Yeah, it makes sense. I guess I can. Is it okay if I leave you with two things?
Sure.
You can leave us with 1.5 things. Just kidding. You can do 2.
Okay. I'll rearrange the numbers. So the first thing is that the reason why I sort of asked this question is because I personally find philosophical conversations annoying. And it's like, do you really need to study this? Like, because it just feels like the art of talking past each other a lot.
Sometimes.
And secondly, well, 1.5ly. What woke moralists don't understand about postmodernism is that it's flawed due to metaphorical substrates.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good Jordan Peterson right there, Rogue Show.
I was like Jordan Peterson or Kermit the Frog. Those were the two. But I love the idea of Kermit the Frog lecturing about woke moralists. Gotta say that I went there.